Genshin Impact is a game that emanates serenity and idyllicism. The free and beautiful world of Teyvat is what draws a lot of players in and can be one that slightly delays players from logging out, myself included. So when I read the Genshin Impact manga for the first time, I was surprised by its darker themes, which explored the more unfortunate aspects of Teyvat, providing a contrasting feel to what we experience in the game. Amongst many things, the manga showcases slavery, trickery, and cruelty. It shows how previous aristocrats of the free city of Mondstadt enslaved people for authority and entertainment. It also dives deeper into how the Fatui manipulates nation relationships in their favor by setting themselves up as saviors of crises that they start. Using their guise of protection, they conduct human trafficking and terrible Archon residue experiments on children, whom are never seen again. One of the characters the manga focuses on is Collei, a young girl who has suffered through the Archon residue experiments and ends up in Mondstadt seeking to cure her illness and get revenge on the one who injected her with Archon residue. Collei is someone who's developed an inferiority complex and a pessimistic view of the world because of how poorly she's been treated all her life. Because of her bandaged appearance, people constantly treat her with contempt and dismiss her like an outcast. This happened all throughout her life and built up many feelings of resentment and fear inside her. She will never ask for help because no one has answered her many pleas for help in the past. In a world where the gods are worshipped, Collei condemns them for not recognizing and helping everyone in return. She's someone who prefers being alone because no one would be there to hurt her. The Archon residue inside her amplifies these feelings to manifest itself for acts of violence. While Collei does feel guilty over this, these feelings of guilt have been suppressed by her hatred. As a victim of constant ill intentions, Collei feels isolated and suffocated, and closes herself off from the world. But this starts to change when she ends up in Mondstadt, a thematic place for Collei's character development because the atmosphere of the City of Freedom is in direct contrast to Collei's. Most importantly, Collei meets Amber, someone who's always willing to help those in need, someone who's able to free her from these feelings of anguish and disdain. Amber is the best and only outrider of the Knights of Favonius. She is vibrant, full of life, and a gliding champion, eager to help those in need. This is in direct contrast to Collei's situation of seclusion and pessimism. Even their relationship with fire is different. The Archon residue inside Collei amplifies her negative feelings through black fires of destruction, whereas Amber utilizes her pyro vision for the good of Mondstadt and its people. I think it's incredibly lucky that Amber is the first person that Collei meets in Mondstadt. Despite their contrasts, Amber has no problems with her. When they first meet, Amber isn't afraid, nor does she dismiss Collei. In fact, even when Collei is intentionally impolite, Amber is the first person who stops to actually acknowledge and recognize Collei as just another person who's clearly in need of some help. If it were anyone else, I doubt Collei would have been so tolerant with Amber's accommodating actions. Collei's initial and reluctant acceptance of Amber's help is a good sign. It shows that there is still a part of her that wants to be helped, but this is currently overshadowed by her pessimism. It's made all the more clear when she stands atop the Mondstadt Cathedral, recognizing the serene view of the city from above, but only remarks that this must be how the gods view worms like her. But as she spends more time with the Knights of Favonius, she becomes more receptive. She shows consideration by raising concern for Amber when in contact with her dirty clothing. Just earlier, she was saying how she'd never ask for help and that no city would welcome her. And yet, she relies on Amber for getting access into the library and even allows herself to be vulnerable around Jean and Lisa, falling asleep in their presence after the two knights welcome her into the library. As she continues being around them, she is still apprehensive and evasive, especially when around Kaya, because of his cold and attentive demeanor. Kaya's investigation into the Black Fire incident makes Collei's feelings of guilt over it more apparent. It gets to a point where Collei practically reveals her dire situation to the knights, finally giving an obvious cry for help. This time, unlike her past experiences, her call for help is answered. Slowly but surely, she starts realizing that she doesn't have to be afraid all the time. As Collei continues receiving help and attention, it is her experience with Amber in the Ludi Harpastum festival that solidifies a change of heart for her. Initially, she still cautions herself when interacting with people at the festival, but as she sees more people playing friendly games, she involves herself more into the festive activities, participating alongside Amber. The upbeat and playful energy brushes on well with her because I think at her core, she's someone who wants to be having fun and playing games with people. When she receives a small consolation prize for just participating, she contemplates why. She doesn't know what to make of it, but I think she's moved by it because it gives her validation. It's an indication that her actions have value, which is important because she was always met with contempt for her actions in the past. The prize is a small gesture, but it has a big impact for Collei. The scene in the circus provides the most significance for challenging and eventually changing Collei's fearful view of the world. I also interpret the scene to be a visual summary of her journey so far. Her being stuck in the coffin is a visual representation of her internal struggle and life so far. She feels trapped and alone, but finds solace in it because she is safe from any outside harm. This also symbolizes how she's closed herself off from the world. As Amber opens the coffin, symbolizing her involvement in Collei's life, Collei is at first scared and defensive, but as she sees the cheerful and welcoming atmosphere from Amber and the audience, she realizes that she no longer has to be afraid all the time. She knows now that there are kind people like Amber and free places like Mondstadt that support and accept her for who she is. And now, for the first time in her life, she welcomes the world around her. When Kaya confronts Collei about the Black Fire incident, the Archon residue takes over when she's backed into a corner. However, this time, despite being in danger, she rejects the Archon residue, dismissing its temptations. Unlike before where Collei ran away from her problems, now she pleads for Kaya to kill her, as she would rather die than be a threat to the city that she's grown to be so fond of. Though Collei continues putting up a front, Amber easily sees through her act. Amber praises Collei for accepting responsibility for the Blackfire incident, validating Collei's courage for trying to right her wrongs. She reassures that Lisa's found a way to treat Collei's affliction. Amber's validation and reassurance is enough for Collei to not give up on herself. She does not hesitate to accept the risk that comes with suppressing the Archon residue. Thanks to Sinnoh's help and Amber's moral support, the Archon residue is successfully suppressed. Compared to when she was atop the Mondstadt Cathedral, this time she's able to admire the beautiful view, high above, from Starsnatch Cliff. Lastly, the confrontation against the seer helps Collei overcome her feelings of inferiority. During the fight, Collei chastises herself for being unable to assist Amber, lamenting over her lack of strength to protect others. She believes that her life isn't worth saving because she's weak. But Amber tells her otherwise, expressing that it's okay to have weaknesses. That by continuing to live, people can still have the courage to overcome, and this courage gives them strength. By seeing Amber's courage, Collei finds her own, giving her the strength to stand up and support Amber. Her resolve here has huge significance, as we see Amber's pyrovision lighting up simultaneously, as if indicating that perhaps the gods have recognized Collei. They defeat the seer, and in the process, their actions show us, and Collei herself that though we may have weaknesses, we also have the strength and ability to face challenges head on and to keep moving forward. Thus concludes Collei's character development for now. Her Archon residue has been sealed, she's opened herself up to the world, and travels to Sumeru to learn medicine and all kinds of things about the world. Collei now accepts herself, having made a great friend in Amber, who played a significant role with her unconditional friendship and support. I'm confident that when we finally go to Sumeru in the game, we'll see Collei again, very likely as a playable character. The panel showing Amber's vision glowing in response to Collei's resolve is enough indication to me that Collei will receive a vision. I would guess that Collei's element would either be Anemo, Pyro, or perhaps even Dendro. Regardless, I'm excited to see Collei again when Sumeru is released. I would personally love to see more of the Genshin Impact manga. While we have a lot of story content and character lore from the game, it's also great to have this separate manga where we get to explore events and characters in Teyvat separate from the traveler's journey. By continuing the storytelling in the manga, Teyvat and its characters become more alive and fleshed out. One reason I think the manga may be on hold right now is because its darker aspects contrast the idyllicism we have in the game. But I think that makes it all the more important to continue the manga. Seeing characters in tough situations is a desirable thing. It's an important aspect of storytelling. Characters grow and become stronger by overcoming their challenges, just like how Collei did. And I think this idea of having the courage to overcome our challenges fits perfectly into the idyllicism of Genshin Impact.